I'm joined by Harvey Taylor of Manchester Pro-Life Society, and we're going to talk about some of the problems that he and the society have faced within the past 2 years. Harvey, thank you for joining me.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, Harvey, you haven't always been pro-life, have you? Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you thought about the issue of abortion as a younger man and how you came to be pro-life?
Yeah, of course. I first heard of it when I was a child, just what it actually was, ending a pregnancy. Obviously, I was a kid, I didn't really think much of it. But as I grew older, I heard things online or people would talk about it in real life. And of course, you reflect on it more as time goes on. I used to think it was fine as a teenager because of all the arguments that seemed so convincing, like it's a woman's body or not your body, not your choice. And I'm a man, so I can't have an opinion on it because I'll never go through a pregnancy myself. Of course, these ideas were challenged in my mind after a few experiences. There was a girl that found herself pregnant when I was at school, and she was 14. She was my age, and a lot of people were very ruthless towards her, making jokes and making fun of her. I was one of them people that would make fun of her behind her back, saying horrible things like she should abort her child, she should do this, she should do that. What is she doing? She's ruining her life, as I called it, by keeping her child. And it was only a few years, and she did keep the child, thankfully. And a few years later, unfortunately for me, I would get myself in a somewhat similar situation. I had very different morals back then. I had very different morals back then, and I would get with a girl who missed her period when it was due. So we both thought that she was pregnant, and I was thinking in my head, "What am I going to do? I don't want to be a dad." And I would have, if she was actually pregnant in the end, coerced her in any way possible. I would have threatened her with my own suicide. I would have tried to slip some kind of pill in her drink. I would make her feel so bad and in any way force her to go to a clinic. I'd offer her lifts to a clinic or anything just to get rid of my child, just to kill my own child, because I was too scared of the consequences of my own actions. And now she wasn't pregnant in the end. So as the years went by, as the months went by even, I just questioned it so much. Why was I can only speak about myself when thinking about suicidal thoughts, but why was I such a coward back then that I would take myself out of the world? And why would I not want to be there for the girl who I got pregnant and moreover for my own child? And as the years went by, eventually I converted to, or I became more stronger in my faith in Christianity. And of course, with Christianity, you cannot really be pro-choice. It teaches the sacredness of life and that everyone's made in God's image. I adopted that view, and it was only when I became Christian, I became public in my opinions on abortion being wrong, and I challenged my views with videos online about abortion being wrong, and me being a man, so I can't have a say. I challenged these ideas and came to the conclusion that I must be strong in my opinion. It's not enough to just keep it to myself. Hence why I am now speaking about this now.
Well, thank you for sharing that. You've gone into real detail there, and I think that will help a lot of people, so thank you for that. Harvey, moving on. In February of 2024, so last year, I understand that the Manchester Pro-Life Society, of which you're a part, which you're a member, faced a wave of harassment and abuse simply for organising a meeting on campus. I believe it was University of Manchester campus. Can you tell us a little about that? What provoked that?
Yes, of course. When the society was made and the Instagram was made and everything like that, of course, the whole of the Manchester University found out about it. And even before the event, we had an onslaught of messages. I don't even attend that uni, though I am part of the society, which is allowed. And I was getting messages because I follow the Instagram account, people threatening me, saying, go to the society meeting and see what happens to you, threatening my safety just for wanting to speak to other people about it at an event. And on the night, we knew that there was going to be a protest because there was so many things shared online, so many people messaged and threatened. We knew there was going to be a sizable protest, but we had no idea of just the numbers of people that were going to be there. There was well over 300. I want to say over 400 people there.
Wow.
It was just a sea of people when I got to there. I tried to go through a back entrance, but it was thankfully locked, so they couldn't get in. People followed us and started hurling abuse at the people inside, not knowing that we were one of them. Then eventually we walked to the front. We walked through the massive sea of people, screaming, throwing eggs, spitting, and shouting at pro-lifers who were outside and struggling to get into the building. I was just about allowed into the building. Once I got inside the rooms, we had to move rooms because people would get in and infiltrate and stop our society meeting. They would throw eggs at the window. They would continue to harass us from the outside, shouting so loud that we couldn't really hear ourselves in the building, unfortunately. Eventually, it got so bad that the police were called in, and the police came into the room that we were in, saying that it's so dangerous outside that we need an escort, police escort outside the building once we finished. So after we concluded, after all of that, we had to walk through a sea of people, and these videos were on the news, and you can see just how bad it was. I had eggs thrown at me. I was spat on. I was verbally abused. I was physically abused as well. A guy who was all masked up with water ran from behind me and threw the water in my face, which stunned me in the moment. He then got in my face, and my friend had to defend me by pushing the guy away. This same guy who defended me, my friend, was then followed home by two pro-choicers the next day to his flat, and they tried to beat him up.
Wow.
He defended himself, thankfully, but it just shows how violent a lot of these people at the protest were. It was a very scary night. One girl was threatened with rape, and there was a pregnant girl who had to be driven home by the police just because it was that dangerous. Thankfully, she just had the child and no harm was done. But it was a very, very scary night.
I remember that at the time, and what struck me were a couple of things. First of all, the picture that the society shared on their social media was perfect because it showed you all looking happy, looking, in the face of all that you had just encountered and were about to encounter when you left the building. But also when you did leave the building, how stoic you all looked, with literally a sea of people either side of you. So well done for that. Well done for persevering. And staying on the topic of the society, what plans have Manchester Pro-Life Society got moving forward?
Well, we've had plenty of speakers come in, examples being Dr. Dermot Kearney, talking about abortion pill reversal, as well as Isabel Vaughan Spruce, as well as a plethora of others, and a plethora more in future as well, once the term starts again. We will also be having socials with the groups, where we can just chill together and go out, as well as stalls, handing out leaflets. That hasn't gone well in the past. We've even had our stalls flipped with all the leaflets stolen and everything like that, even personal belongings stolen. But this won't stop us. We are even thinking about organising a debate in future, but this is only a thought, just because many people at the university, unfortunately, are not even willing to hear us out, let alone get into a building without chanting and just not letting us speak. We'd like to hold a debate, but we'd have to see about that in future. But socials, stalls, leafleting, as well as just being a general presence for people, for girls who find themselves pregnant, and anybody who wants to talk about these views, they can come to us and seek help.
Brilliant. Now, Harvey, I understand that you're an Orthodox Christian. You mentioned that earlier. Firstly, how much of an impact do you think your being an Orthodox Christian has on you being pro-life? How much of your faith informs you being pro-life? And secondly, moving forward, do you see the Orthodox Christian community in the UK, do you see them playing more of a role in the pro-life movement?
Yes, so I was challenging my pro-life views and views on abortion in general before I became an Orthodox Christian. It was almost secular, my experience, in the way that it wasn't religion that made me look into these views. I had my personal experience that affected me very much deeply and emotionally, things I didn't even tell my family and friends about. I was wrestling with that for many years, actually. But it was Christianity, once I converted, that actually gave me the courage to speak out. I think of the lives of the saints, people who are martyred, and their lives are way worse and way more horrible, what they went through, than what we go through at the society, because they were martyred, they were killed. And it's not fun what we go through, but we can see examples like that that make us stronger in our beliefs even now. So I'm more confident in my views now because I know that it's God's will that people be saved, and that's also babies from the womb to the tomb, even with the elderly, are taken care of in this society, which unfortunately they are not. The Orthodox community in the UK, in comparison to, say, Roman Catholics and Protestants, are very small, but they are a rapidly growing number. And all of these people, of course, if they go with the church authority, understand that being pro-life is an integral part of being a Christian, because all life is sacred. People are made in the image of God. St. John the Baptist leapt in the womb when Jesus was near him, when both of their mothers were pregnant with them. So as the Orthodox community grows, so will the people who are active in the Orthodox pro-life community grow.
Yes, please God. Now, there's an irony in the situation in the UK right now, in that with the two recent votes, abortion essentially being legalised up until birth and assisted suicide progressing through Parliament. In that sense, we've never had it so bad as pro-lifers. But conversely, what I can observe is a really energetic, youthful pro-life movement. Do you see signs of optimism in your generation of pro-lifers, kind of in early 20s students?
Absolutely, yeah. I think what people see online of people like us being silenced as Manchester society, as well as other societies being challenged around the country and even in places like America, we can see that our free speech is clearly being taken away. And an example of that is Isabel von Spruce being arrested for just praying outside of a clinic, which is crazy. So people see that this is happening and people retaliate to that. They realize that this is not right. And even bad publicity can lead to people hearing about pro-life views and arguments and people changing. But for the younger generations like my own, there's definitely an influx of people who are looking into these values. They see the value in people, in human life that is not shared with the general message that is spread in the media and unfortunately on university campuses. So there is definitely a massive influx in younger people, at least looking into the views and even attending our events and things like that.
Yes. Now, finally, Harvey, as I mentioned, it's a tough time for pro-lifers in this country. Have you any words of encouragement for our viewers, our supporters, who might be feeling a bit deflated after those two recent votes?
It is very sad, the recent votes. I was shocked when they were passed, as I'm sure many people were. And it can be very easy to enter into a doomer mentality, thinking that all things are going down, it's horrible, we're worse off now than we were then, so what are we going to do? But the revolutions in society don't happen by people being sad and mopey and sitting down and doing absolutely nothing. They happen because people actually stand up and take a stand for what is right. And if we actually take a stand for the people, for the babies in the womb, protecting them, showing that their life is just as important as ours, and people all the way at the end of their lives with things like euthanasia, we can actually make a change by putting things out there, speaking about it, sharing your views with your friends and the general population, or videos like this online. Nothing's going to happen if we keep our views to ourselves and get all sad and depressed. We've got to persevere nonetheless, just like every other society ever has when they've had problems. People don't sit down and do nothing. Things change because people do something.
Yes, exactly. And sometimes all it needs is a very small minority to kind of shift the Overton window, as it were.
Absolutely. Even if it's just a few, we must carry on.
Yes, yeah. Now, Harvey, you obviously bravely shared your story back at our youth conference in front of over 200 people back in February. How useful do you find the SBUC Youth Conference in networking with pro-lifers of a similar age?
I think it's absolutely great. I've met so many people, so many lads I'm now in contact with that I message very often. It's great to be in a place where there's like-minded people because if you have a community like us at Manchester that's being threatened verbally, physically, with messages online, with all these horrible, horrible things, it's great to be in a place where you can talk to like-minded people and understand that there are people like you out there. There's never just you, never just you in your home or in your town or anything like that.
Yeah.
There's hundreds, thousands of people all across the landmass. And many people that come to this youth conference, I met my girlfriend there. I met so many people there. My friends went there. And it's amazing place to network as young pro-lifers.
Yeah, brilliant. And as you alluded to there's a real irony because if only our detractors realised that in the greater the level of abuse and harassment, the more, ironically, the more it brings us together, and the more that sense of solidarity is felt by everyone.
Absolutely. So we're just going to carry on no matter what.
Yeah, very much so. Harvey, thank you for speaking and for bravely sharing your story once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.